Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Sunchild Tarot and welcome to some general readings for the total lunar eclipse, supermoon, blood moon, flower moon for 26th, 27th of May, depending on where you are in the world. Now it's for the sign that is in the title of the video. It's a bulk introduction as ever. There'll be a timestamp that I'll put down below because I would suggest watch your sun, your moon, and your rising. And if you only get to watch one of them, watch your rising. Now, as ever, there's a link in the description down below for a birth chart, so you can find out your rising sign if you don't know it. And as general readings and general YouTube readings, standard advice applies. You know, if it don't fit, don't try and make it fit. Don't let me make decisions for you. It's not so much, well, I suppose this one is a take what resonates, because normally I would say for my more specific readings, ask a question. But this time I'm using basically oracle cards, and it's having a look at what energies I think this lunar eclipse, or I feel, or I intuit, I suppose would be a better way of saying it, or what the cards think anyway, that are bringing to us to experience throughout the effect of this lunar eclipse. Now, sometimes that can be up to 3 months. I've got stuck in my head from somewhere. I think 3 months for a lunar and 6 months for a solar. However, looking at the symbolism and looking at the astrology of it, it looks like it's definitely a build up and a preparation of the solar eclipse when that arrives in 2 weeks, another 2 weeks' time. So I will be doing a show with astrologer David Fisher, looking at the astrology of this lunar eclipse, and also it's a full moon. So I will still be doing my full moon gods at play readings as well, where I will be looking also at the angels and demons and that sort of the symbolisms and the degree symbols of the lunar eclipse itself. Here, since it is a south node eclipse, that is also talking about letting things go, releasing, dealing with the past, all of that sort of stuff. So I thought I would have a look at the angel regarding the south node itself, which in this case is Menadel. But I also want to point out that this is under the influence of Neptune, 22 degrees Pisces. So under modern rulerships, it's happy, it's at home, it's at 22 degrees, it's a master number, giving it extra whammy. And have a look at Soul Garden Namaste TV, Serious Joy, sorry, on YouTube for more about step 22, as Kushwateki calls it. But this is conjunct Pallas, the asteroid Pallas, which a few astrologers have made something of. There's a great video. Well, there was a great note, but I'm sure there was a video about it. If I may suddenly think I'm imagining it, but about Neptune conjunct Pallas from Anastasia Cosmic Astrologer. But the one thing that I noticed that nobody else is talking about is that it is also conjunct the asteroid Orpheus. So Neptune conjunct Pallas is extra psychic whammy, extra psychic awareness, extra psychic atmosphere, psychically charged. It's also Pallas can be looking at the wise way to weaponize things. So I think we have to keep a very close eye on the media and see what symbols and metaphors and dreams and wishy-washy woolly ideas that they are pushing forward more and more and more in order to sway public opinion one way or another. Take that as you will. I'm not an anti-vaxxer or anything like that, so I'm not listening to that sort of aspect of it. But when we look at the patent argument about the COVID vaccine, or we look at the various other economic arguments that abound on the planet, I wouldn't be surprised if something comes up. But with this also being conjunct Orpheus, now what do we know about Orpheus? He was a musician. and he descended into the underworld to bring back to life his lover Eurydice, who had been killed by a snake bite, and he braved all sorts of challenges and unfortunately failed on the last 5 yards. But there's this image of a descent into the underworld for heroic reasons. Now, a lot of the astrologers are saying that this is a letting go of past baggage. And to be honest, some of the degree symbols back this up. But with Neptune and Pallas together, we are able to dive into our own personal underworlds, Orpheus, and note those ideas and beliefs that have been used against us, even if it is us using them against us. You know, standard counseling sort of philosophy of it's not so much what other people have told you, it's what you learned as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old that you have to deal with. And let's face it, a 4, 5 or 6-year-old doesn't always get things right. So it looks like it's a perfect opportunity to dive into all those sorts of issues. Now, the angel, as I said, for this is Menadel. Now, as a degree angel, Menadel represents fear or fearlessness, and inner and outer work. So those, if we descend into our own underworlds, get the teeth in, then that is inner work that can have an effect on our lives, on the outer work, quite dramatically, I would say, under this Neptune Pallas Orpheus conjunction, all being ruled by Menadel. Now, Menadel is about liberation. So again, there's that letting go. Freedom and work. Not freedom from work, but finding that work that is your great work, whatever your great work may be. It's associated with Mars. So there is all this diving into the underworld. It's not just to dive into the underworld and stay there and wallow in, oh, look, I've got this issue, and oh, look, I've got that. It's a dive in, do what you need to, get out again. Now, Menadel's also a guardian of some people born under the sign of Virgo. I've not got the degrees, but I've got the dates, 18th to the 23rd of September, traditionally. So I don't know if you have your birthday in that period, you may get a bit of extra whammy from this transit, purely from that angelic resonance. Now, the interesting thing is the Chandra degree, Chandra symbol or inside degree we have is icicles melting. And the description is soul timing, slow and formative, waiting for fullness and ripeness, outliving old stuck patterns by slowly wearing them out. Something that I think we are in the process of, certainly since last year and all the crazy astrology that we've been having since late 2019. Deep process, you experience lessons in humility and simplicity. An extravagant streak which relents only after relentless pressure. Now, can you see in this symbol, there's also that tension between the Saturn-Uranus square going on. The conflict and the attempting to balance the old with the new. In fact, it says, the next thing it says here is cross purposes. You have an attachment to personal inclination of the most stubborn kind, and yet a desperate drive to get beyond the shadow. Interior dialogue and dispute. I don't think this is going to necessarily be externally a dramatic full moon. With it, the normal full moon, if you worked in all sorts of jobs, you know full moon is always a crazy night. I think the eclipse aspect would hopefully calm that down a bit. Fingers crossed. But I think internally, it promises to be a doozy. The slow burning way and allowing pride to surrender without being made wrong. Elaborate maneuvers towards significant breakthrough, which backs up everything that I was saying. Now, the Sabian symbol. Now, here's a fascinating one. Let me scroll down to it to make sure I get it right. Where have you gone? Now, it's a flag turns into an eagle. The eagle into a chanticleer saluting the dawn. Now, I see that Saturn Uranus old versus new in that symbol as well. The eagle, although it's gone down, it was a symbol of Rome, it's a symbol of America. It's not the only country that has the eagle as one of its symbols. And it comes historically, if you like your ancient alien stuff, it comes from Babylonian times, and it was the symbol of Enlil. Where, if you like your ancient aliens, you'll remember that Enlil is the one that tried to bump us all off because we were thinking too much and getting too bright. And it was his brother Enki who managed to save more than a few of us. Enki, if you're unfamiliar with Sumerian myths, you can look at Enki in a way as being a cross between Poseidon and Prometheus, because Enki was the one who gave mankind gifts and theoretically created us in the first place, and so therefore we're his pets, and he wants us to prosper, and ignore all the weird power dynamics of that statement. So in the background of this strange allegory, we recognise the deep-seated belief that the American nation and its basic democratic institutions were constituted to be the cradle for a new step in human evolution. How ironic that Dame Rudyard would look at it that way. And under modern context, absolutely. Under your ancient alien context, gets a bit weirder, doesn't it? But then again, so if you're into your conspiracy theories, this is a great one. Because the keynote of this symbol is the spiritualization and promotion of great symbols of a new age by minds sensitive to its precursory manifestations. How apropos right now, when you have everyone talking about the new age of Aquarius, that I still say we're not in it for a few hundred years yet, but we have that Aquarian energy, we have that air energy from the new 200-year, 800-year Jupiter-Saturn Great Conjunction cycle that has now entered the element of air. So even to a point, and I suppose this comes from my more scientific past, I'm a stickler for going, we are not yet in the age of Aquarius, but it really doesn't harm to start believing that we are, because of the good sides of it, because our beliefs and our actions defined by those beliefs will hopefully bring around that Aquarian paradise that everyone talks of, rather than maybe a totalitarian state, which is the shadow side of Aquarius. But, let's not talk about that one. So, carrying on with Dame Rudyard's interpretation, the flag is the abstract symbol of the nation. It becomes an eagle, another US symbol, when the concept is made alive by bold and transparent action. I suppose that relates to what I was just saying about the whole Age of Aquarius idea. The eagle symbolizes spiritual will and the power to rise from the highest possible altitude to the highest possible altitude of consciousness and purpose. Flying at such an altitude, the eagle is the first living creature to perceive the rising sun. Now, that he writes more about this, but I don't want this introduction to be too long. But I have not yet looked at the chart for the solar eclipse, and let's face it, I rely on David for the more technical understandings of all that anyway. But it will be interesting to see what I dig up about Amael for the full moon gods at play readings. Other than that, you can ask a question before this reading. Here's your opportunity now if you want to. I'm not going to guarantee you'll get an answer because it's not necessarily that sort of reading. But I'll bring the cards up in a second. So if you want to, pause, ask your question, concentrate on it for a few minutes and start the video again. In the meantime, I'll bring up the cards. Okay, Aries. Now, this eclipse is occurring in your ninth house, which can indicate activity within, well, your spirituality, your academic life, some form of travel, some form of relationship with long distance things. I want to stick on the spirituality side of things, though, because I have to admit that this is the second time I filmed this reading because I filmed it a couple of days ago and came to edit it last night. No sound, no sound at all. Now, the title that I'd given that reading that time was Unfetter Your Dreams or Just Stop Punishing Yourself. So there was this overwhelming, I mean, it was card after card after card was repeating the same old message. Either get on with it or let it go and stop blaming yourself that you're not getting on with it. Either is good. This one seems to be a lot more about the healing. So I'm going to look at this with that get on with it or forgive yourself in mind. But let's have a look at the cards themselves. So we start with Ocean of Emotion. Find a safe place to express your feelings. There's an element with this card that is saying go with the flow. But also think of the litany against fear. I allow the fear to pass over me and through me, and once it has gone, only I remain. Now, we're not talking about fear here. We're talking about emotion. All emotions. Feel everything. Observe them, treasure them, thank them, let them pass. Because there is new beginnings coming up with the Celestial Gatekeeper here. That is, it's going to take some planning. It's got to be at the right moment. So you have to do this work first. And with the success card, it does promise that you will be successful. Let me alter the focus on this camera. It's really fuzzy. So yeah, it does suggest that you will be successful. So the whole point of doing this emotional, oh, that's better, doing this emotional work, and work is probably, to be honest, work is probably an exaggeration because it's not so much work as witnessing, allowing, releasing, observe, dismiss. If you ever, one of the ways that, for instance, the way I was taught to meditate at Spiritualist Church was listen for every sound, identify it. If it's not a threat to you, dismiss it, move on. And then eventually you do that to thoughts and you do that to feelings. And here there is the feel the emotion, identify it, treasure it, thank it, let it move on, dismiss it. And it is just a matter of seeing which emotion brings what revelation. Sometimes it will be something where you go, oh, yeah, I know I feel that, or I didn't know that I felt that, or hang on a minute, why do I feel that? And you find out the reason, you go, well, that's a load of rot. So it's an educational process for yourself, but it's one amount of tidying up that you need to do. Because there is a new beginning starting. We have this Lady of Lightning here who talks of someone new maybe coming into your life, or some new influence coming into your life, or some event that really turns your worldview upside down and sends you on a whole new path. And the reason I say new path, we have the fledgling here. Out of the Wisdom of the House tonight, 2 cards came out, success and fledgling. There is something new that you will beginning that you will be successful at, but it's new. And you have that whole sense of, I'm a beginner of this, at this. We have from the, what do you call it? Damon Tarot, Agares. Now, in this lunar eclipse chart, Agares rules the decan, where we find Chiron. Let me just check. I pulled the details up beforehand. 10 to 19. So yeah, Agares rules your middle decan. So this will be extra strong for you, obviously, if your sun or your rising is between 10 and 20 degrees of Aries, because there is that real focus on your sense of identity and your sense of how you are presenting yourself to other people, your sense of story, really. I know the ascendant can be looked at as how other people see you, much like the first house, but I like to think of it as this is my story. There's who I am, and then there's what I do. Because you are in a creative time, Leliel, Angel of Night here, and new things are being announced. Israfel, the Angel of Song from the Angelarium. So there's something being heralded. You might not be able to see it yet, but this lunar eclipse is bringing in something for you. So, firstly, that first step is that ocean of emotion business, that allowing the absorbing the feelings, allowing them to witnessing them, letting them go, all of that business. And that will hopefully, if you are unclear, help you to, one, identify your dreams, or two, release that where you've been punishing yourself for not pursuing these dreams. And I would also say, three, if you've not been pursuing your dreams, there might be a very good reason for that. So one, don't be too hard on yourself. Two, maybe you need some new dreams. I won't worry about that. They're on offer here with this Lady of Lightning. And there's that element of stopping punishing yourself and forgiving yourself here with Pahalia, who astrologically represents redemption. There's almost like, have you been rebelling against yourself in some way, shape or form? Because there's something that part of you wants to do, and then there's another part of you going, no, not doing that. No, refuse. No. Well, what will people think is one of the aspects, or what does it mean to my sense of identity if I do that? And there's still this other part of you going, yeah, but I really like to do it. So what I am saying there is the bit that said no so far is the rebel, is the one that has been punishing you for wanting something that you want. Because we also have Helena Blavatsky here from the, what's this one called? Saints and Mystics Oracle deck. And she represents in this deck initiation. So with initiation, Lady of Lightning, the fledgling, there is definitely something very new, possibly in terms of spirituality, or maybe in terms of study, maybe in terms of location, or influences that come to you from some form of distance. But all of this is in the vein of getting some healing done, which you can either allow or you can continue to rebel against and refuse to have that healing done. But it will be announced, and if you go for that, if you go down that I'm going to heal myself route, from whatever it is that we need to heal ourselves from this week, there's you're probably fed up of hearing readers talking about, oh, healing. But then again, the world's a mean place, and a lot of us are broken in different ways. But there's also an underlying level where we're just not, so there's there's an outer crust that is broken, and then there's an inner core that isn't, and it's making sure you are working with that inner core rather than the outer crust. And I think it's that inner core that might have been saying, I want to do such and such, whereas the outer crust going, no, you don't, you ain't doing that. What will people think? Now, Aries, I am surprised that I'm getting that in a way, because I never see Aries as being a sign that's that bothered about what people think. But there's, I think maybe what people think is the wrong way to put it. what you think about yourself according to the standards that you have been brought up with. Not necessarily what other people think, because who cares what other people think? But there may be certain beliefs that you've picked up along the way that, yes, obviously come from other people, because as a child, you're not immune to that. Now it looks like this new beginning, will be nerve-wracking for you. Right. So let's get into this tarot. This is Ace. Right. The new beginning will come quickly. 8 of Wands with the initiation of Helena Blavatsky here. Lady of Lightning giving us 10 of Pentacles. So fast change, fast dive into a new thing, and comfortable in that new thing once you get going. But the very thought of success in this area and the very thought of going into this area does create a lot of anxiety. But I don't think I'm telling you anything that you don't know. We've got the Temperance reversed here with Ocean of Emotion. And what that is telling me is there's no more time for patience, especially next to that celestial gatekeeper that says timing is critical. There is no more time for patience. There's no more time for I'll get round to it. I know that's an issue. I will sort it out one day. No, now. Because again, as I said in the introduction, we've got that Neptune conjunct Pallas conjunct Orpheus. Dive into your own underworld and just have a good poke around. And as all of these emotions are coming up, thank them for being them and let them go once you've listened to them and figured out where they've come from. The Paleo with that sense of redemption, which I have to say I do feel is that whole redemption in your own eyes. So you can take it two ways. There's that, as I said, there was that bit of you that said, I want to do this. And there was that outer crust bit of you that went, no, we are not doing that. That inner bit of you that wants to do something is redeemed because what it wants to do is okay. That it's fine. It's okay. But also you, the outer crust bit of you, is redeemed because just because you've been stopping that so far, if you stop stopping it, stop blocking it, then that's okay. That is okay. You know, that's it. There's the redemption. You've stopped doing the silly thing. But I also feel that this isn't, even though ninth house is supposed to be about travel here, it's not that far from home. It's not. Embarking on this will not feel quite like a victory parade, but you'll soon be loved up once you're doing it. Ace of Cups here. You'll soon be really happy once you're doing it. 10 of Pentacles here. But it's time to get out of your own head. Get out of your, somewhere here you are connecting with somebody, or some people, you know, somebody singular or plural. So I don't mean that in a capital R relationship at all. I mean, I might, but I don't. It's me. I doubt I mean it like that. Because we've got 9 of Pentacles reversed with the celestial gatekeeper. Get out of that garden and start allowing whoever it is in that this Lady of Lightning is promising to bring in, because they bring in happiness. They're bringing happiness, and you can receive that happiness if you've done the healing, if you've done that descend into your own underworld and listen to the emotions. And like I say, there's not much more to do than that. You don't have, it's not like you're going into a deep person-centered counselling session, get my teeth in, you know, or some form of Jungian therapy or something like that. It's no, just listen to them and go, thank you for telling me that. All right, see you later. Because there is information to be given there. And some of these emotions may just want you to have recognized that they exist. And once you have recognized that they exist, they've got no more reason to exist, because they have been recognized. Mission accomplished. End of story. Well, that was heavier than I thought it was going to be. Oh, what I haven't said is with this, if you go through this healing process with the Aries here, remember he's ruling Chiron at the moment. We have the Page of Pentacles card. Now, that is my level up. And it's interesting that we've got fledgling to Page of Pentacles, being a beginner. And then the Page of Pentacles is not so much a beginner. It's the beginner at level number 2. You know, so for instance, doing the video game, you get through the first level, you have the big boss fight at the end of the level, and then you get on to level 2. Level 2, you've never been there before, therefore you're a beginner again, even though you've got level 1 in your pocket. So there is an element of leveling up. There's an element of, and that is included with this initiation card, because it's just as much as it's a new thing. I want to say more. It's an extension of some. It's a new extension of something that you've had already going on. Maybe to some minor role, you know, some very small behind the scenes thing. Certainly if you've been squashing this one part of yourself, then very behind the scenes. And I think that the Lady Lightning should bring in some beautiful treasures for you, but you have to be prepared to receive them, which is why use this eclipse to dive into that emotional ocean and just witness. Okay, so if that means anything to you, Aries, comment down below. Good luck and do it. You know, there's do it. What you got to lose, because there is this change coming. And this change is either one you can take full advantage of or be upended by or totally miss out on. So take advantage. All right, cheers.